God family, yes, blessings. We are continuing with the laws of Ma'at. It's been a few days since I tapped in this way, but of course, we've been going strong with our daily classes. So if you'd like to tap into that, I will drop the links below and definitely feel free to join. So we're going to go through laws 9 through 13 because we are on the 13th day. So giving thanks for this moment, giving thanks for you, your viewership, but also the fact that you are breathing air right now. So remember to inspire when you are taking in spirit, taking that deep breath in and really feeling the resonance and the love of the divine forces of nature, the Neteru, all around you, all within you. And I just want to give thanks for life and all of its vitality. Yes. Ankh Ujasaneb, life, unity, vitality. We give thanks. So the ninth law is I have not stolen sacred objects, right? And once again, these laws in the beginning are really connecting. And when we talk about even the connection here to, I believe the previous law was I have not robbed from the Neteru, right? So it's about really honoring what is sacred, and whether that be a temple offering or whether that be even I think in modern times we could look at it in terms of spiritual practices and cultural appropriation. Like there was even what I was saying in our session that day, where there's a tendency to treat others as if they're not sacred, right? Like based off of their religion or their practices. And it's something that, even as I decolonize my mind, my own mind, from certain things that we have been conditioned to grow up in terms of the Abrahamic religions, it's also recognizing the beauty in it. Even though there is a lot of trauma that comes with these things in terms of how they were given to us and to how they were given to our ancestors, that generational trauma is real. And so also honoring the fact that these things do have a lot of beautiful things. For just like we have ancestors, the ancestors of these religions really do go back to ancient Kemet. And though the children may not recognize their actual generations before them, does not take away the fact that we're all family. And as I was saying before in the previous video, it's like, it's a forest full of trees and many different paths, and everybody's on that path. Some may be easier for others. Some may be, a very roundabout way just to recognize the life in every single path, the beauty in every single path. So I think it's really important to respect other traditions outside of your own. And then I think a big part of it is also respecting the earth by living mindfully and sustainably, right? So when we're talking about sacred objects, the planet is a sacred object. Your body is a sacred temple, right? So when we're talking about not stealing, it could break down into so many different applications, even in terms of how we look at our health and wellness. I think that even the depleting of the soils on this planet, right, which we'll talk about in a later law, but the depleting of the soil is robbing the minerals, that's those sacred minerals from the land, through all of these terrible bioengineering practices, all of this genetically modified things. So in returning to Ma'at and returning to restore balance in ourselves, it's also going to reflect out in the planet, because we'll just treat everything and everyone with a lot more respect, because it is all sacred. So then the 10th law is I have not carried away food, right? And there's many ways we broke this down, right? So like not taking food wrongfully, and even when we look at the modern ideal, it's about honoring the balance of resources by consuming only what is necessary, only what we need, and then the abundance we share with each other. So we could look at the exploitation in so many different ways, and this leads right to the idea of gluttony, which is in modern ideas, or even in Judeo-Christian ideas, one of the seven deadly sins. But in ancient Kemet, it was equitable to distribute food to make sure everybody was living and sustainable. I was hanging out with a good brother of mine and his mom, who were really really cool, very prominent pillars in Harlem. And his mother has a restaurant, and the mother was telling me how he doesn't eat a lot of the food at the restaurant, but he would take the food to the homeless during COVID, right? And I just thought that was so powerful, because it's this idea of the abundance and all of the resources. And I mean, you see it in New York City, they throw away food every day, and I'm sure if you live in a major city, you see the same thing, where all of this food is being thrown away, and then we have all of these homeless people. And a big reason for the mental health issues is because people are not looking out for people, right? And because we're not looking out for each other, people feel like they're on their own, and they become more destructive, and they may be in these predicaments because of some sort of mental health issue, some sort of trauma that is stopping them from really progressing. We all need help one way or another. So I think in even not taking food unjustly, we're honoring the balance of life, we're honoring fairness, we're honoring just the deeper connection. So even if we're looking at ancient Kemet and the idea that they made sure that everything was in balance, no one took more than their fair share, that there was temples that they served as community hubs. And wow, it's just really powerful. So like, I think in this, it's really encouraging mindfulness about the consumption of the resources that we have today, to avoid waste, to be generous, to make sure that we're reflecting on the ideals of Ma'at by really implementing sharing and caring for each other, advocating for an equitable system that is really not certainly not what we're seeing right now in the world today, especially when we talk about sustainability, food insecurities, minerals being robbed from certain countries, land being taken from certain people. So yeah, that I mean, it's seen in so many different ways, because food is I think food is one thing in terms of the consumption, but also just looking at the deeper implications of food for thought, resources, all of these different things that are so prevalent and prominent in many different ways, because food is not all about the stuff you put in your mouth, and we talk about that a lot in the classes in the Rising. So y'all definitely join us. We do yoga as well. But we're going to move on to the 11th law. The 11th law is, I have not uttered evil words. So we're not uttering evil words, right? I mean, it's really making sure that we're not inflicting any harm or damage by the use of our tongue. There's power in the word. There's power in the way we speak. So making sure that our speech is not harmful or malicious. And also this law reminds us to practice mindful communication, avoiding gossip, not insulting people, not being negative about certain circumstances or situations as it pertains to whether it's loved ones or people that we may not necessarily be as close with. So yeah, ancient Kemet speech, and it still is today, but speech was definitely considered words of power. They called them hekals, right? So even in one of the beautiful papyri texts, it talks about, in the beginning was a hekal, just like it says in the Bible, in the beginning was the word. So we have the power to create harmony or chaos, ma'at or isfet, even through the way that we speak. And so it's really important to speak with integrity, speak truthfully, speak positively onto our people. And so there's so many different implications of how we see even our government sometimes pushing forward people who are not necessarily speaking truth to power, and even if they're not directly saying evil things, there's a part of their mind that is tuned into that frequency. And therefore, when people are tuned into a certain frequency, you could feel, based off of not only how they're saying, but their body language as well, where they're really at. So I think it's really essential that we practice that for ourselves, and we show the people around us, how to elevate and move in a certain vibration, in a certain harmony, right? So once again, the law 11 is, I have not uttered evil words. We got two more. So number 12 is, I have not attacked no one. I've attacked no one, right? So the direct translation, if we looked at the Medu Neter, is I have not attacked or harmed anyone. So even the idea of causing harm and the deeper implications of what that could mean in terms of, yes, the physical harm and violence, but even the way that we speak to each other, which goes back to uttering evil words, which is once again the beautiful thing that the laws of Ma'at do is like it's broken down into sections, but then it specifically gets into certain parts to talk about the physical and the metaphysical aspects of, even when we talk about attacking somebody. So the idea of in this, yes, is committing to nonviolence in our actions, but also our thoughts and our word, right? So really promoting peace, hetep, in all areas of our life. So yeah, maintaining harmony and balance within the community is essential. It was essential then, and I mean it's essential now, even though we don't necessarily practice it all the time. So even in our interactions, emphasizing the importance of seeing others and really communicating in a way that we can see everyone as an extension of ourselves, right? Like in today's world, I think it's really important to see, like, even like the division in terms of religion or politics or any of that, making sure that we are not attacking one another in a way that is just vicious and unproductive and unhealthy, and just creating more divide and conquer within this colonized society that we want to decolonize. We want to decolonize our minds by making sure that we are finding more connection, more unity, more ma'at together, more sima as we come together, which is unity. So yeah, committing to nonviolence is essential for a prospering world, because I mean the animals are watching, the plants is listening, the forces in nature are real, the Neteru is real. So yeah, may we commit ourselves to nonviolence, may we act in accordance with Ma'at, may we act in Hetep, peace, by really restoring balance, truth, order, justice, harmony, propriety, reciprocity on this planet. So that was law number 12. So we're going to move to 13, okay? 13 was today's law that we went over in class, and it was a powerful time. Today was, I have not made anyone weep. And the idea is, once again, more of the attacks, but on an emotional aspect, right? So I have not caused anyone to cry or experience sorrow. So we have power in our words and we have power in our actions, yes. But now it's like the effect of really looking at the other person and saying, okay, I'm going to really care about this being. I'm going to care about this person and make sure that I'm speaking to them, looking at their inner child, looking at the love of in their hearts. And unfortunately, because we live in such a traumatized society, sometimes we don't really think about how we are communicating, because it's put in the music, all of this negativity, all of this violence. We turn on our TVs, it's constantly repeated. How many times do we see peace and love and harmony repeated? As much as we see all of the negative stuff, we need to find the positivity, and we need to promote that from and hold our scholars, our artists, our creators accountable for these types of things. So it's really refraining from actions that will elicit emotional pain, right? And that is to me, wow, it's something that is so important. Like, and when we talk about acting with compassion and kindness and really uplift rather than bringing harm, seeing the humanity, seeing the divine God, the spark of creation within everything in existence. I mean, it will change the way that we even treat ourselves. It's all reflective. So in ancient Kemet, emotional well-being was deeply connected to the principles of Ma'at. So when we cause a stress or consider disrupting the balance, we have to remember that it's a ripple effect. That person can now go and move on and create chaos is spent in somebody else's life. So in modern context, we can look at this in terms of being more mindful with our interactions with others, mindful with our interactions within ourselves, because sometimes we haven't connected deeper to ourselves. Earlier today, we did a meditation thinking about the moment when we caused harm to somebody and when somebody has caused deep harm to us. And even just taking that moment to recognize that situation and say, you know what, I'm going to forgive that person, I'm going to forgive myself, and I'm going to turn my pain into power. Right? Because a lot of people will sit in the pain body, and therefore they'll be so disconnected to the power body. They'll never recognize that they can really reclaim their power by recognizing their pain and saying, you know what, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm going to be a victor. I'm going to rise. I'm going to ascend above all of the things that I've been through, all of the harm that I may have inflicted. And maybe even if I got to call that person up and say, listen, I apologize. I remember there was one year I did this intuitively, even before I was doing this work, where I just called so many people and I'm like, listen, this is a memory on my heart. And also, when I had this profound experience in Peru, it's like I was able to just forgive everyone. I was able to forgive and let live. So, this is a call. This law to me is a call to enact acts of kindness and bring joy to others, bring joy to ourselves by seeing the joy in others, because you know what it's like when somebody's smiling. It's like it's infectious. And unfortunately, this violence and this destruction has become infectious because we are going through so much, not only acute but environmental and generational trauma, and we need healing. I believe Ma'at is a medicine. Give thanks, God family. Stay rooted. Thanks for tuning in.